Hello, and welcome to Colonel O'Truth's Miniature Issues. In today's episode, I'm scratch building a steam-powered paddle-driven raft, which will complete the scene that I started in the last episode. If you've been following the journey of Dearth and Tenneth in the Bluebird, you'll know that they set out from Undercrag City, passed the mountains, and landed here at Oth's Landing, on the edge of the salt marsh sea. I built the trading post in the last episode. It's time to build a raft. I've cut a card template for the size of the raft, and I'm starting with the engine, as that's going to dictate everything else that happens. I've had these bits and bobs lying around for years. The black stripy thing is from an old dart. There's a little glass bottle and a piece of plastic tube. And a button. I'm building the chimney first. This is a nice return to old familiar territory for me. If any of you used to follow my blog, you'll know that steam-powered machines were a thing of mine for a long time. I haven't done one for a little while. So it's nice to just throw some bits and pieces together and see what happens. Plastic tube is ever so slightly too loose on the stem of the dart. So a quick piece of paper wrapped around just gives me that extra width so it all fits snugly together. This channel is now racing towards 6,000 subscribers, and we'd love to push it to 10. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do. And if you could like and share to anyone who you think might be interested, that would be hugely appreciated. Thank you. The bottle is going to form the boiler. Quite a small one, but a raft like this probably doesn't need much power. It's a very shallow draft, skimming through marshy waters. Sticking my chimney down, and I'll stick my boiler down, and I'm starting to see how things are going to look. Little piece of tube to join the two together. And thin strips of card as iron banding. As you can see, this is not complicated at all. I've seen enough steam engines in my time to know roughly how this should look, but I'm not using any reference drawings or photographs. Because this is fantasy, I should be able to do what I want. Another button on the front there. And let's just cover up those holes. It's all very quick, very simple. The little clear plastic thing there is from a press stud. I bought a whole heap of these from a dressmaker's shop. Slightly thicker card on the top, and some decorative nuts. Little pieces of plastic rod, How easy was that? Tiny slices of plastic rod. I'm going to start adding rivets. Another old staple of mine. If you're interested, you can still find the old blog. Just look up Colonel O'Truth's miniature issues on Blogger. I don't monitor the blog anymore though, so if you want to leave me a message, do so here rather than there, or I won't get it. Now there's a hole through the dart stem that needs to be covered. So a little bit of green stuff worked into it and smoothed. Once it's painted, with a bit of luck, that won't really show. I've sprayed it black. It's time to think about some other things. I've got a box full of decorative cogs and bits and pieces. These two are ideal. I'm building a small paddle wheel to drive the raft. Two diameters of plastic tube that nicely lock together. And on go my wheels, making sure the spokes point the same way and line up. Try and keep everything nice and straight. I need more machine parts, so I'm just inventing stuff now. A screw with some pieces of plastic tube, and that looks like something. I don't even know what these are. I was given a whole load by an old colleague. They're sort of spiky things. I think they're used in cabinet making, I don't know. There's some plastic beads stuck on the ends. I've got control rods. Here's a tiny little cog thing. More press studs. And this can be some sort of a wheel to control the speed of the raft. I'm using the cheapest possible superglue here as well. I get through a lot of it, and I only use the expensive stuff when I really need to. Not bad. This balsa wood's being glued over the original template, and I'm marking out planking before I go any further. I've cut a slot in the back where the paddle wheel is going to sit. Just like the shack in the last episode, I'm drawing in the nails by pressing in with a sharp pencil. and we'll see how that's going to line up. Happy with that. So I'm coating the whole lot in brown ink. You'll notice I'm not bothering with an undercoat this time, whereas when I was working with balsa wood in Undercrag City, everything was painted grey first. This started to feel a little bit redundant sometimes, although it does help to cover up patches of glue, as you will have seen in the last episode. I always feel like Victorian-looking machines look best in green. This is a test pot of acrylic house paint. Really cheap. Nothing wrong with it at all. I don't tend to buy expensive hobby paints. While that's drying, let's get back to the scene. I've stained the bristles of some old paint brushes with green ink. It gives a nice uneven coverage, with variations. With my trusty pointy stick, I'm poking holes in the plasterboard base, pinching together clusters of the bristles, and pushing them in with a blob of PVA. Removing any errant strands. It's a nice effect. It looks irregular and natural, rather than buying fibres that tend to all be very uniform in colour. My ink's dry. I'm going to dry brush my timbers. First a pale yellow, as usual. I'm going across the grain. And now some white. A slightly off-white this time, a little bit creamier than normal. Back to the model. I need to think about the colour of the water. I'm mixing olive green ink, brown ink, and lots of water. And I'm going to paint it straight onto the black undercoat. The straight line across the front edge, where the masking tape was, should disappear during this process. We'll see by the end of the video. This dirty wash pools in irregular patches, which is perfect for what I want. I'm being very generous with it. Plenty on there. Looks pretty disgusting. When it's dry, a dappled coat of Mod Podge. Getting the bottom of the step there to make it look wet. Working it into all of the edges. And I'll let that dry. Get back to my boat. I'm working brown ink over the dry brush timber, and after that, some light grey dry brushing, just to weather things. It's not quite as worn as the shack, but it shouldn't look brand new. I'm adding gold to these domes to contrast with the green, but as it happens, as you'll see, I change my mind. And on the chimney stack, it's going to need a couple of coats of the gold. I need a lighter shade of green, and I haven't got any, so I'm mixing the original green with some grey. About half and half. I've made far more than I need, but that's alright, it's not expensive. A light dry brush to pick out the highlights and give some variation in the colour. You can see the machine domes are black again. So a bit of gunmetal paint now. Iron rather than brass. Painting different components, a mixture of different colours, helps to maintain the illusion and breaks up what the original pieces were. So the bottom of those decorative nuts are green, but the tops are iron. That's looking pretty good so far. And so's the paddle wheel. Back to my deck. Thin strips of thin card. I tend to work with black card almost exclusively. It just makes the painting process simpler. Just figuring out where all my machine parts are going to sit. Slot cut in the deck, and a piece of machinery coming up through it. Now a dirty brown wash. These things shouldn't look clean at all. It's a steam engine in daily use in a marsh environment. The brown wash doesn't spoil the green colour. Rather, it blends everything together and makes it look more solid. That first coat of Mod Podge is nicely dried. There are a lot of air bubbles, but I don't mind. So I'm adding a second coat of dirty green ink. Once again, it's pooling and patchy, and that's a good thing. This is basswood, stronger than balsa. I've painted it with the same technique as I did on the balsa, and I'm cutting the paddles for my wheel, with little notches cut out of each one. These should shove in between those teeth on the paddle wheel and sit nicely. I'll line up the first few on the spokes and then put some more in between. A blob of PVA is fine to hold them in place, and it means I can move them around, whereas superglue would set far too quickly. That's going to look great. I've cut one at the bottom slightly thinner than all of the others, so it'll look like it's sitting in the water. Now I'm working on the structure of the raft. I've built up the depth and I'm putting on the sides at an angle. For marshes like this, you really wouldn't want a boat that sat very deep in the water. So this is more of a flat-bottomed barge design. Sections of toothpick give me my uprights, and I've decided this is going to have canvas sides. It's probably completely unrealistic to have a big heavy steam engine on a lightweight raft with canvas sides. But this is fantasy, and that's probably all I've got to say on the subject. Strips of thick paper from my sketchbook and pressing them into shape. I've decided to add some dirty paint water just to make everything a bit more flexible. With my trusty pointy stick and some PVA, I'll gradually get everything the way it needs to be. When it's all done and dry, I'm coating it with PVA. This will add some strength and also enable it to maintain its shape. I'm bowing out the sides slightly. That's looking fairly boat-like. I've continued my card strips all the way around the boat, and I'm adding more rivets, just for the look of the thing. Of course, on scale, these rivets are absolutely enormous, but I like the way they look. Time to add the paddle wheel. And the engine. I put my control rods into a box. There's my sort of accelerator thingy. And I've made 2 rudders. Because I can't have one in the middle of the boat, the paddle wheel's in the way. They need to sit flat in the water. A steam engine needs fuel, so here's a little box made from cardboard and balsa wood and some pieces of grit. Plenty of PVA to hold it all together. Whoops. And I've just painted the grit with neat black ink. Coal, after all, doesn't need to be highlighted. It's very, very black and slightly shiny. If you're going to move coal around, you need a shovel. Back to the old plastic rod and thin card. Just a nice simple design. Some strips of card as the brackets to hold it all together. Keen-eyed amongst you will see that I already tried this once and got it wrong, which is why there's an unused shovel bit lying just under my finger there. It's a bit fiddly, but we got there. All painted up. A couple of blobs of PVA, and very carefully, in it goes. I think that's pretty much done. My water has had another coat of Mod Podge and another coat of ink. And another coat of Mod Podge. All I need now is a few more details for the scene. I've made some little rings, and now I'm making some wooden crates to sit outside the trading post. Starting with some little boxes. If you don't know how to make cubes and boxes, it's really simple and well worth learning. One of the basic steps of model making, if you like. Anyway, here's more balsa wood with pencil lines. And a few details. I made some coils of rope from pieces of string. And I've decided that the shack needs a chimney. They've got an iron stove inside, so all that smoke's got to go somewhere. This is more plastic tube. I want a conical top. A little circle of paper with about 1/8 of it cut out. A little bit of PVA. I'm going to curl it around itself to form a cone. It's not perfect, but it can be trimmed. And on it goes. My boxes have been painted the same as the boat. Again, they haven't been here for long, so they're not as worn as the shack itself. Coil of rope on top of that one. And a machine part, for whatever purpose. And you can also see the working lantern from the last episode. Three iron rings on the dock. String as rope, disappearing into the water. And another coil of rope, trailing off the side of the boat. On goes my chimney. I've cut it up a bit to make it more wonky, and I've painted it the same iron as all the other bits, with a brown wash. Finally, I promised you people. Let's start with a cat, and a fisherman with a very colourful fish, a reptilian shopkeeper, and finally our intrepid explorers, Dearth and Tenneth. I've included links to the miniatures below, and although I don't consider this channel a miniature painting channel, if you'd like to know more about my process, let me know in the comments. And of course, as always, feel free to leave any other questions and comments down below. I really like hearing from you all, and I do answer every single one. This is a great little community, and Mrs. O'Truth and I really appreciate all your support. I'm really happy with how this piece has turned out. But now it's time to move on. In the next episode, I'm finally getting started on Vilizia, the city of the artisan princes. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.